Yes, I love this land. It takes my breath away.
Welcome to Texas 10. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Steve.
And for the past 5 years, we have been traveling the back roads of Texas. And today, Steve, I think we need to go to West Texas, everything's like one of my favorites, but I really do love West Texas.
I know what you're talking about, and I know I can remember the trip because it was on the initial part of our journeys, wasn't it?
Right, it was.
Right, and so the first time we did a big trip and said we're going to start marking off our 254 counties. We're at 234 right now.
Right, we have 20 left.
Right. We said, well, we're going to start in the Big Bend region.
Right, and so we were in Marfa, and then we took a day trip to Alpine, Texas.
And so when we plotted out our trip, we were really excited about Marfa because it's got the rep, right?
Right. Everybody talks about Marfa. Very artsy. You've got cool restaurants. Yeah.
Right. I call it the westernmost suburb of Austin. But,
there are a lot of Austinites there.
And then we were really excited about the Big Bend region itself, but, getting on the Rio Grande and seeing some of the scenery there. Alpine, I was thinking, okay, well, that'll be, it's a city down there and we need to check it out.
I think what you said is Alpine will probably be one of those, we're not have to be there very long and we'll check it off.
Wrong was I.
You were very wrong.
Right. Okay, so first of all, let's set where Alpine is. So if it's south of I-10 by quite a bit, so you're talking about remote country, right? If you're coming from El Paso to the west, you get off at Van Horn. If you're coming from, say, San Antonio to the east, you get off at Pecos. And in both instances, you go about 100 miles south. So it's out there, and it sits right back against the Fort Davis Mountains.
I knew about Alpine because my dad used to go hunting. It's big hunting country. A lot of folks have deer leases and that kind of thing. It's great hunting, but it was surprisingly a real artist colony. I loved it.
So we were sort of knocked off our feet by that because, and then you do a little bit more research and you find out that Alpine is a very popular retirement community. So for people, our age. And one of the best examples of the art meeting the retirement community is we went to an art studio. It's called the Curry Gallery, and Tim Curry is the artist there, and he had a long and distinguished career as sort of a graphic designer and artist in Dallas, doing a lot of magazine work and stuff like that, and he's now doing his own stuff, and we got the greatest big text picture that he had done.
Yeah, we love it. And the funny thing is you don't know what you're walking into. We saw the Curry studio, and there was those little rows of studios, if you remember. I'm like, oh, well, let's go in this one. And then you meet this guy who is a pretty acclaimed artist, and getting to talk to him and hear his story was really pretty remarkable.
It was. And you see that sort of all throughout the town. The other thing about the art stuff is they've got great galleries and whatnot, but there are great murals all over the town.
And, that might have started our love of murals. That's one of the things I look for first when we go into a town is where are the murals and, who painted them, that kind of thing. I love it.
Well, the one I remember in particular had, I think it's Dan Cartwright, who played Hoss on Ponderosa.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And it turns out he went to Sul Ross State.
Which is another reason to go to Alpine, Texas, is it has a university, Sul Ross, and it has one of the most unique traditions of any college or university that we've been to, the desk.
I'm going to say it is the most unique tradition. I know Aggies out there, and even our Bears and Longhorns, they are all proud of their traditions. But this is really just one of the coolest traditions out there. Like we said, it sits backed up to the Fort Davis Mountains. And
the Davis Mountains.
Yes, the Davis Mountains. Thank you. And Sul Ross is right perched near I call it a foothill to those mountains. And freshmen being freshmen, they were bored, right?
Right. Well, and someone in town told us about it and said, hey, when you're here, you need to hike to the desk.
Right.
So tell about the freshmen did.
Right. And so in first semester, they decided we have got to have a better place to study. And so they decided that at the top of this foothill would be a great place to study because it is a really cool view. There's a valley beneath it.
Yes.
And so they thought, well, let's go up there. And they keep talking about study. I know they wanted to go up there and drink beer, but they would talk about study. And to prove they were studious, they lugged this desk. And it's one of the
old silver heavy desk. It is not a lightweight IKEA desk.
No, there was no IKEA involved.
No.
And I was in the Air Force in the old days, and it's one of those sort of like battle station desks, and it had to be heavy. And they lugged it up to the top of the mountain, foothill, whatever. And the climb itself.
It was a little surprising because someone had told us, oh, it's like 500 feet elevation, not a big deal. I was in sandals. I was wishing I had on my hiking shoes or my tennis shoes, but I made it. So it is it's very rocky, but when you get up there, the other part of the tradition is in the desk, there are notebooks and you write just kind of who you are, or any thoughts you have or motivation for people. And you read them, and it's pretty moving, some of the things that are written.
Yeah, and so, it's not like a guest register. A lot of times people just say, hey, I was here. There's people write poems and whatnot, and the university collects all of these each semester, binds them up, and you can go into the library and see them. But they're there to read, and people who are troubled, people who are happy, it's really an interesting comment on the human condition, and it all comes from a bunch of freshmen that wanted to hide the fact they wanted to go drink beer.
But if you go to Alpine, it is such a treat. And then you sit up there for a while and just enjoy the view.
Right. And so the other great thing about Sul Ross, I'm sure there's many great things about Sul Ross University, but the thing we enjoyed is they've got a really exceptional museum there.
Yes. You go ahead.
Okay. So the Panhandle region, Alpine's sort of the center of the Panhandle region, and there's no official history of why Alpine is named Alpine, but the idea is it was the Alps of Texas. And so you've got all of these different little mountain ranges and then the desert surrounding them, and Alpine's right dead center of it. And so the museum is both a geological, the first settlers' history, all the way up to the present. And if you want to know the history of the region, the geology of the region, the flora and fauna of the region, basically anything you want to know about Big Bend country, you can find in the Museum of the Big Bend at Sul Ross.
And then you should venture out. They actually have a minor league baseball team, Coconut Field.
So the Alpine Cowboys play at Coconut Field. We're big minor league baseball fans. Unfortunately, we couldn't go to a game there because their season hadn't quite started.
But if you remember, they were practicing. And so we went in and we kind of snuck in and watched them practice. And it's a very cool old field.
And that's the real attraction to it. Think of Wrigley Field in a little bit smaller setting. It's the rocks and it's got some ivy on it. It's got obviously a beautiful setting. It would be a great place to watch a
minor league baseball game. And you might be surprised, but there's some really fine dining. And Steve's mom knew that we were going to Alpine, and she's like, oh, there's a really great restaurant there, and it's the Riata. And it was fantastic.
The Riata is sort of a typical West Texas steakhouse restaurant. It's a great experience. The other place we missed, but has got a great reputation, is my mother's name is Judy. It's Judy's Breakfast. And so we would love to go back and see that. And when we go back, we want to stay in the Holland Hotel.
Yes, the Holland Hotel is a historic hotel. And we just had no idea, honestly, that Alpine had so much to offer. So as we've gone to every county seat, now we're already going, where are we going to go back to? And this is one that I really want to go back to.
We way undersold Alpine, and we want to spend we spent a considerable amount of time there, all of one day, and I think part of another. But it would be a great place to spend a weekend, even a week. The climate out there is exceptional. That's why it's a retirement community. It's just awesome.
And
Thumbs up to Alpine.
And it was a beautiful drive from Marfa to Alpine, because you're right. We went for one day and then we thought, we got to go back. So we were staying in Marfa, went back to Marfa, and then we went back to Alpine for a little more. So I encourage you to take the trip. It's worth the drive.
And if you do want to know a little bit more about Alpine or any of the places we talk about, go to texas10.com, look at our field guides. We have much more information than just what we're able to tell you in 10 minutes. So take a look at that, like us, subscribe to us on all the social media things, and keep watching Texas 10.
We hope to see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
And I love this land. It takes my breath away. From the Palo Duro to the Gulf Coast plain, from the heart of the hill country to the piney wood shade. I love this land. It takes my breath away.